And one. Well, hey, Dave Melinda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you this week. Like I always do, I come up with this great guy, and he's going to help us through this question today. And it's not really a question, but it's a statement, and I want to start with it because it really kind of resonated with me as I started to think about it. And the statement is, do life and business on your terms. And when I started to think about that, it's like, man, well, what about my customers' terms? Or what about the bank's terms? Or what about, my team's terms? But what about the company's terms? Right. So I'm like, all right, like always, I got to find out who said this and I got to get him on the show. So I'm honored today to be hanging out with Greg Giagnocavo. How are you today, sir?
I'm good to be here. Happy to be here with you, Dave.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping on. You happen to be the founder and owner of a company called At the Big Ticket Life. So I love that term. So fill us in on what the Big Ticket Life is all about for you.
Yeah, I mean, I originally started, I've been doing entrepreneurship for 2+ decades now. And, I like to focus my work with business leaders who take up the call to live as an example of courage for those they lead, which we might get into that do business and life on your terms question in a bit.
Yep.
Um, so Big Ticket Life really began helping people that sell things, typically higher tickets, low frequency of purchase. And then it evolved into this message of punching your own ticket in life and living as this example of courage that I like to talk about. And so, that began a few years ago, and the message and the mission has evolved, and it's never been better.
That's awesome. So you said 2 decades that you've been in entrepreneurship. So I
Yeah.
love to ask this question. Were you in corporate America and then converted over, or have you always been an entrepreneur? What did that look like for you?
Yeah. I was in corporate America for about 18 months, got chewed up and spit out, and didn't enjoy the spit out part at all
Sure.
because, it happened despite my ability to see it could happen. It still happened. And I even said, if it happens, can I have a softer landing? And they're like, well, it won't happen. And then it happened,
Yeah.
And so we don't need to get into it. I think anybody that's been chewed up and spit out can
Sure.
can exactly agree with what I just shared there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I gotta say, we're 200 and some episodes in. So out of the 200 and some guests from around the world that we've had, Jeff, 18 months is pretty close to the shortest entrepreneur stint that sorry, the corporate America stint that we had. So congratulations on that. I want to know a lot of times because I get this question about how do I make that jump? Some people, it takes them half their life to do it. Some people do a side hustle. Some people, just scrap it. When you decided that corporate America was not for you, what was your next step or what was your next thought? What did you do once you figured that out for yourself?
I mean, I jumped in. So the spit out happened. I kind of sat with it for a month or two, deciding what my next move would be. And that would be to never be in that position again, to control my own
Sure.
destiny. And I ended up in that time. We were in the final stages of our wedding to my wonderful wife, Steph, and we'll be married for, uh, I should know, 22 years this year in August. And we end up getting married August 24th of 2002. And I come back from that honeymoon and I give notice. And on the honeymoon, I was studying up on what that first few weeks and months would look like as being out there as a manufacturer's sales rep in the furniture and mattress trade. That's where I've built a career
Sure.
outside of what I do in this kind of work.
Yeah.
And I was studying up on the industry on our honeymoon and hit the ground running when we came back.
Wow. Well, I tell you, Steph, I'm really sorry that on your honeymoon he was studying up on the mattress industry and not doing other things. We'll just leave it at that.
Well,
But
the mattress was involved on the honeymoon. I'll just say that much.
all right, all right. Well, I'll take your word for it. So I don't know what you guys do in Pennsylvania over there, but that's up to you. So, um, but again, thanks for jumping on today. I really want to kind of understand this life and business on your terms,
Yeah.
Jeff, because That's very appealing to pretty much everybody. I mean, there are some personality types that just prefer the, regiment and doing the same thing every day. And
Sure.
again, there's neither one's right or wrong. There are a lot of people that are intrigued by that thought of doing life and business on your terms. And I love that it's both, because I could see saying, hey, life on your terms, business on the boss's terms, or vice versa. So where did that happen for you first? When did that first kind of pop into your brain, if you remember?
I think it's always been part of who I am as a person. And it just, until I kind of sat with it and asked myself questions about what I want in life, who am I as a leader? What do I want to deposit into this world? Did it start to become clear? And, life and business on your terms is not meant to be a selfish statement. I think some people can take that away, that it is a selfish statement, when in fact, I feel it's the polar opposite.
Yeah,
I think it runs much along the same lines as a statement of you can't pour into others until your cup is full, because ultimately you're taken from yourself. And until your cup's overflowing, you can't really give to others. And life and business on your terms really is a framework of being able to say, this is exactly what I want, who I am, what I'm here for, how I can help others, and being able to say no to anything that doesn't match up with all of that. And being able to assess what is the best use of my time to create impact, to create lasting legacy for myself, for those around me. I had this statement this week. I was at an industry event, and one of the other speakers said, what are people going to say with you at the end of your time when you're in the box? And I was up next, and I was very confident and able to say that. And that opened the eyes of a lot of people.
sure. Yeah, it's a tough spot, right? I mean, who really wants to be known for he worked a lot on his gravestone? You know?
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
that's a really hard thought. Interesting thing though, to me, Jeff, is a lot of listeners right now are so busy in their day-to-day work, right? They're paying
Mhm.
bills, they're trying to find their next sale, they're trying to do these things that really move the business forward. It feels like you have to kind of, I don't even know, pull yourself out is the word, of your business to be able to do what you did, was to kind of think this through. Was that like that process seems laborious for a lot of people, and that's why
Mhm.
I think a lot of people don't do it, because it's like, you know what, I don't have time. You
Yeah.
guys, I gotta sell something. I gotta. So is it something that you were very intentional about, getting those messages of clarity for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, I've been, on the time thing, there's a lot of talk in society and in culture about equality and about equity, and time is equal to everyone. The wealthiest people have the same amount of time in each day as
Yeah,
do the least wealthy people. Now, are there hurdles in front of each of us that are different? Of course, but at the end of the day, we all have a choice to how to use our time and where to put our focus, and to really think ahead. As just a little example of this, which I think really the root of your question is, how do I make the jump? How do I
mhm,
how do I push myself forward? And it's to make big decisions and ask big questions and commit to big goals. And I spoke to somebody on an industry group this morning. They were looking to invest. Their deliveries are going up. They're outside of their pickup truck, but they would just want to buy a trailer. But the next jump is the biggest delivery truck you could imagine.
yeah,
That's the jump you make, because that in between of just towing a trailer, which is going to be immensely hard, because
sure.
backing into apartment complexes and side streets is not easy. And no one gives you forgiveness as the guy with a trailer today, because I've done it. I
Yep,
did it on the road as a sales rep.
sure.
And I said, you have to make that jump. You have to believe in yourself. This little half step isn't worth it.
Yep,
It's just not. It will limit you. You have to jump in. And that's what I've done all my life, is being willing to jump in. People that know me know I will climb to the high dive and jump off the board and fill the pool on the way down. That's the belief and the commitment that I have in myself.
sure. Well, and so I have a question because as you're saying that, Jeff, I'm thinking about the people around that individual. And they're saying, "Oh my gosh, who jumps off of a diving board when the pool's not full? Why would you tell my husband to get the biggest truck when a smaller one will do?" Right? Again, whatever that looks like for whomever's listening, how do you like help people work through that? Because that's got to be, I mean, if Steph wasn't a big thinker like you could potentially really have some, consternation in your marriage or your
Yeah.
relationship, whatever. So I'm just curious for somebody listening that likes what you're saying, but might be surrounded by smaller thinkers. And again, no disrespect. How does that play out for you, or what's your
Yeah.
comment back to them?
So I think what I would say is what's been their investment in their uh, right to voice. Everybody has a right to voice their opinion, but what's been that investment in voicing that opinion at you? In other words, is it the loudest voice from the cheapest seat in your life watching you?
Yeah,
Like everybody will watch the guy jump from the high dive, see if he does a nice dive in or just completely does a belly flop. Everybody will watch that.
yeah.
Get the people who will grab the fire hose and fill it up quick with you. That's
Hmm.
the people you want in your life.
Yeah,
And listen, at the end of the day, is challenging somebody to go and think bigger in investing in a box truck that big of a misstep in life? It really
yeah,
isn't, because I showed them a
right.
path. I said,
Sure.
hey, you realize most companies who lease trucks will lease you a truck in your company name with no money down, with you don't even have to have good business credit. They'll just do it because they're creating an asset and a loan that's secured in the asset of the vehicle. And yeah, you do pay a little more over time.
Sure.
But the reality is the ability to get to that bigger place faster exists. You just didn't ask the right question. And my feedback was, hey, the right question to ask is, how do I grow faster? Not how do I secure the next steps without seeing the ultimate goal, that finish line, faster.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So then conversely, Jeff, what about the people that would be like, you're only getting one truck,
Right.
right?
Right.
How do you
Yep.
how do you find kind of work with those, because
Yeah,
again, it's super easy to spend other people's money, right? I
it
mean,
is.
it's super easy. So just
Yep.
curious what your comment would be there.
Yeah, so that goes back to the life and business on your terms. So I have a number of business interests, but the retail business I talk about often because it's the one I directly own. All the people that I consult with, I give them advice and input, and it's on them to take it and use it.
Sure.
And I'm never offended if they don't, but we'll revisit progress and things like that. But my retail business, I have the most control over because I own it. And so I would say to that, I have one truck, and yet my retail business is looked at as a marquee example in the industry of what can be done when you commit to a tremendous customer experience. And really, at this moment in time, I only want one truck. That is business in life on my terms, because I know what it takes in this day and age to operate multiple units. You have tremendous uphill battles in getting work, getting team members on board. Uh, Rents are astronomical anymore for quality commercial real estate. And what we committed to was just saying, we have created a Disney-like experience buying a mattress as a consumer, rather than adding cost and delivery trucks and leases and payroll. Why don't we add cost and advertising and curating an incredible story that it's worth the journey
Sure.
to visit us? People will go, Dave, they'll drive an hour or two to buy a vehicle, maybe more. People
Yeah.
fly. They
Yeah.
fly across the country to drive a vehicle
Yeah.
home.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yet, for what I sell, it's like, yeah, whatever, just the guy in the corner is good enough. Now, this is something
Yeah.
that's a third of your life, has the ability
Yeah.
to impact your life in so many ways. And so we just leaned into that.
Yeah.
So I only have one truck, but we're doing the business of what would be 3 to 5 average stores, and
Sure.
what 3 really good stores do. And so that's my answer. It's all about what you want to create.
Sure.
sometimes more isn't better.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, and I just think that I think what you just did was you're secure in your message. And so I think there's real power in that being able to
Yeah.
have whoever you're talking to and whoever's listening today, around the world, just be comfortable in your answer. And it's so hard though, you want to compare yourself to somebody else, or, somebody else asks you the question of how many employees do you have, or what's your sales volume. And I don't know if it's a man thing, or if it's a high D thing and disc, but there's always
Mhm.
like this, I want to one up everybody. So
Right.
I love the fact that you're just secure in your position where it's at right now, and there's no right or wrong to it. So do you run into those people a lot that are kind of always wanting to, one up somebody else, or insecure in themselves? Do you run into
Yeah.
that a lot?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think our society with social media has amplified that, where it's so easy to showcase all the positive, um, but it's also very easy to hide the negative.
Yeah,
There's people in my circle that have, planes and RVs and multiple beach houses and things like that, and all of that's great, but then you find out it's all leveraged with debt.
yeah.
And not to say that you can't make that life work. You very much can. It's just not for me. I'm
Yeah.
very clear on what I want in life, and my wife and I and our family, we're working to those goals. And those goals are not to have things that, oh boy, if our vacation home that we also Airbnb doesn't fill up this month, we got to rob Peter to pay Paul somewhere.
Sure.
That is
Yeah.
not the life we want.
Yeah.
We want to live a life of freedom and the ability to, in a few years from now, travel the country in our RV and watch our youngest son play football in college.
Wow, that's cool.
And that's the
Awesome.
life. Yeah, that's the life we're building.
Yeah. And I think that's the power of living in a free country is, there is no playbook that you have to follow. You
Right.
can do it however you want, and I'm struggling with this as I'm turning 60. I'm like, how much longer do I want to work? So I'm like, all right, you know what? I love to work. I couldn't see myself not working. So I'm like, let's start with this Friday afternoon off.
Hmm.
What? I don't know if you've ever tried that, Jeff, but it's like so painful because like for whatever reason, it's kind of like it's the overflow, It's like the little overflow valve. So anything that didn't get done in the first four
Yeah.
and a half days, right? And it's like, no, that's not what that's for. But boy, it's hard to for me to train my brain to just say, hey, my work week ends at noon on Friday. I still haven't had success with that. So I'm trying, but I can see a lot of people, we've been talking about these things a lot on the show, are blind spots. It's we don't know what we don't know. So do you have a lot of people when you coach? Do you see a lot of blind spots that it's easy for you to see from an outside perspective,
Yeah.
but it's really hard for them to see running through it?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I mean, and that's why you connect with other people, whether that's through, a peer-to-peer group, a referral group. I mean, even a networking group. A
Right?
group of people who are of like mind and driven is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Yes, investing in coaching and consulting can pay dividends. You need to find that right person. I love, Dave, how in your run up to your show, you get the disc assessment done. Because I know you're using that to bring forth great episodes.
Yep.
And you need to be able to mesh into people that are going to challenge you, but do so in a way that doesn't break you down,
Right. Yeah.
because that's the last thing anybody needs, right?
Yeah.
And great coaching and great consulting ultimately, shows you those blind spots, shows you that forest through the trees that you're just not seeing. But at the same time, doesn't call you a dummy because you tripped on the rock right in front of you,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
As you're making that hike in this thing called life. And,
Yeah.
I'm always here to support the people I work with because I try to extract from them what is the thing holding you back from saying, this is exactly what I want. This is exactly the life I want to manifest. Why do we continue to let these clients and these customers and employees and these vendors
Yeah.
derail you from that. You don't have to accept their stuff. They're not clear. You're clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
shed
That's
that stuff.
yeah. Well, I tell you, we're going to jump in a break real quick, but I think it's funny. I think of like Charles Barkley's golf swing. If that dude doesn't know that he has like the ugliest golf swing in the world.
Mhm.
But there are, again, Tiger Woods has all these coaches watching his swing, his eating, everything, his
Yeah.
exercise, his strength, because he needs that outside perspective. So I love what you said, Jeff, whether it's a peer-to-peer group, networking group, coaching, whatever, find somebody that you trust and
Yeah.
respect and will be able to share that with you. Because again, I'm sure you and your retail business, you have people that are kind of watching and helping
Mhm.
you when you need it. Because let's just be real, we don't have eyes in the back of our head. So anything going on behind us, we don't see. So
Yeah.
whatever that means in your life, somebody else hopefully has got your six and is able to help you in that spot. So has that been pretty helpful for you surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals in your career?
100%. And I would say that's a good litmus test. If you're looking to invest in coaching, consulting for your business, ask the person you're considering, who are your mentors? Who's coaching you?
Yeah,
That's a very fair question to ask. I have a group that I pay to be a part of for copywriting. I have a group that I pay to be a part of for big ideas and big thinking. I have a group that I invest in for almost personal spiritual uh, development guidance. And then I have a group that I invest in for connectivity and joint ventures and business growth,
sure. Yeah.
because you can't be all things to all people, right? And so maybe it's not four that the person you're considering is a part of, but they ought to be investing in at least one.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my
Yep,
belief.
absolutely. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to kind of jump into your book called The Space for Leadership. So we'll
Happily.
be right back. Excellent. Welcome back. I'm honored to be hanging out with, I'm going to say it, Giagnocavo. Oh my gosh. You tell us how to say your last name. You're so much
Yeah.
better at it than me.
Yeah. Jeff Giagnocavo. That second G
Giagnocavo.
is a
Yeah,
trip
there you
up.
go. There you go. Jeff Giagnocavo. And once I hear him, then I know how to do it. It's super easy.
Yep.
Founder and owner of The Big Ticket Life. And so you were an Amazon #1 bestseller for The Space for Leadership.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you Google leadership, Jeff, I mean, billions and billions of things show up. So, for somebody listening right now, somewhere in the world that is like, they want to understand leadership, but they just don't know where to start. What do you tell people based on your book or just based on your experience? Where's a good place to start?
Yeah. I mean, I think you need to, and we touched on it about the types of coaches that I invest in personally. I think you need to be clear on where are your blind spots? Where are your weak spots? Where are the spots you want to amplify?
You know,
Who are you as a leader and what do you stand for? And what's been the fiber of your leadership being, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I talk about all of that freely and openly in the book. And I feel my past has been a big part of who I am as a leader. And so, yes, you can get the high level, most popular stuff, Think and Grow Rich for personal development. Jeffrey Gitomer stuff is great on sales and leadership. There's the Tony Hsieh book from Zappos. There's all the big ones, and
hmm
all that's great. But I think until you're understanding where your weak spots are, where the amplification spots are,
yeah.
that's where you need to focus on.
Absolutely. And it's hard to do on your own. And it is, again, if you're just starting out or your company doesn't want to pay, it's hard to invest personal money in that. I totally get it. That's why, again, maybe it's a group, maybe it's a peer-to-peer group, somebody to help you at the beginning is there. When you started, you probably had core values in your
Mhm.
leadership that you wanted to make sure and do your best to kind of sing from the hill, so to speak. What were some of your core values for your leadership development? If you can share with our audience, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, there's two of them that kind of work in lockstep with each other. Integrity is a core value for me. It's what I do when no one's looking. And that transcends, you know, to the retail business. If we were to open up the books on 10 invoices for the same product, all 10 customers would be paying largely the same price.
Yeah,
I qualify that to say they might pay a little different because of our discounting program that's in public view. So they choose their discounts that apply to their situation. That's the variable,
sure,
not
sure.
us, the customer situation. Second one is actions. Actions first, words after actions. You know, I like to let my actions speak for myself, not just words you type out or say. And again, today's society, that's so dang easy, right? Um, One of my good friends, Wes, put out on his channel, just because a guru has a brain fart in a Canva Pro app doesn't mean what they put on their social media is gospel.
Yeah,
Look to their actions, right? And so, you know, for me, actions first and integrity is big. Um, you know, I share in my book the story of my childhood sexual abuse. And as a leader, as I said, you got to look at what's the fiber of your being as a leader. What's that part of you that exists that might be worthwhile bringing out and sharing with others, that you can get past this. And here I am as a person that has a rough past too. Here's how I've internalized it. Here's why we've maybe had bad interactions. And I want to fix that. And I want to work together with you in a different way. That's a
sure.
tremendous thing when you can do. And for me, those two values, integrity and action, were so important. I learned integrity from my grandfather as a cabinet maker. He could make anything look like
Mm,
all solid wood, real wood,
yeah,
but he never took that cheat step and put uh, uh, particle board in a
yeah,
cabinet. He would always do wood because if there was a fire, people would know, or water damage, people would know. And integrity was so important to him. And then the words and actions thing, you know, there was that profound moment, and I wrote about it in the book. I'm in this living room with my abuser. My family's there. This is a family friend. Another family is there, and my abuser's just pestering his daughter, right? And his wife says, "Is he molesting you?" And he wasn't, but that's a serious statement. And naturally, the abuser wasn't going to say anything. He kind of like went into the shell of himself.
yeah,
But the other five adults in the room said nothing, said nothing at all. And that's such a serious statement
yeah,
to not challenge back, either in
yeah,
private or in the moment. And so those two core values for me are just so important. And as I've worked with myself and talked this out over the years, I've arrived at this point today where I can share a really tough time with people freely, because
sure.
it is a fiber of who I am as a leader and it's part of it, but it doesn't define me.
Yeah. Well, and I think we all as leaders we walk with a limp in some way, shape, or
Oh,
form. There's
love that.
something, right, that we have. And I tell you what, man, it's again, that might be a blind spot. There's plenty of people that don't know they walk with it. There's plenty of people that just are accepting it. I love that you confronted it, because if you wouldn't have, or if you're listening and you don't confront that for yourself, it generally comes back later in life somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something usually or maybe it's part of your being. I mean, I never met my grandfather. On my mom's side, he was a chief of working towards a fire chief, and man, I would have loved to have been able to talk to him, just like love to be able to talk to your grandfather and just listen to those stories,
Yep.
that he had. And oh my gosh, just I can smell the wood. I can
Mm-hmm.
smell, just like that. It's oh man, how cool would that be? Did you spend a lot of time with your grandfather when he was alive?
I did as a kid. Yeah. I was actually born in Canada in
Okay.
Ontario. And so my mom's family is there. We moved to Pennsylvania when I was 11. So my summers, prior to moving to the States and after, I would go back for a little bit, spend a few weeks. My first ever like paycheck came from working in the cabinet shop with him by his side. The company
Sure.
paid me to work with them, and it was such a cool experience to see how people interact with each other.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
And I learned, I shouldn't say I learned, I saw immense patience. I didn't necessarily learn it, but I saw
They
it.
passed you up on that one, huh?
Yeah, I saw examples of it. I can't say I learned it right
Sure.
away, but I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and I want to go back to what you said about integrity because I don't want to gloss over that piece because I think the way you define that, what you do when no one's looking,
Mhm.
is so powerful. And in today's fast-paced and competitive society, it can be really easy to, if they don't know about it, just let it go. You
Yeah.
know, it just, it's so easy to do that today. People then start to justify it in their mind, like, I have to do this to stay competitive. I mean, your grandfather easily could have justified particle board. No one's going to see it.
Right.
Um, you know, they could say it's even stronger than wood because it's a bunch of wood particles together, whatever,
Hmm.
right? You can kind of create this own story in your mind to start to justify. Is that hard for you, even as an adult now in a retail situation? I mean, is the temptation there for you, or is it just like it doesn't even enter your mind anymore?
Yeah, it's just not what we do. And I'll give you an example. So we in February, um, we added a new wrinkle to our double deals discounting program, and that's we'll pay your sales tax. And of course, it's a discount commensurate to sales tax because we still have to
Sure.
collect sales tax. But in the
Yeah.
consumer mind, it has a
In
lot of
case the
value.
government's listening, right?
Yeah, right. Well, in case they are. Um, but at any rate, uh, so we rolled that out. And wouldn't you know it, I believe it was like February 2nd or 3rd. Now, we were planning this end of January. February 2nd or 3rd, we get a gentleman who bought a very nice massage chair from us. One of these, like, looks like a cockpit, futuristic looking thing.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
9 grand. Okay.
Nice.
So that's $540 or so, something like that in tax. Well, there's no other opportunity to apply another discount from our list to his purchase because the discount list is geared towards mattresses. And so the right thing to do, and we did, was to call him up and say, hey, you've got this small balance left. We're going to reduce that by the sales tax because we just rolled out this promotion.
Sure.
Now, some people, some of my peers included, would say, oh, I would never do that. That's ridiculous. I said, wait a minute. This person bought from us twice before.
Yep.
With this purchase is now has a $20,000 level of lifetime value with us. And I'm not going to let him speak bad about us. I'm not going to let
Yeah.
him remind me that he couldn't take advantage of any other discount at the time. He paid our price, didn't try to negotiate, which we don't do anyway.
Yeah.
Again, that integrity thing. I want 10 customers to feel good about buying the same thing. So we just refunded his money because it was the right thing to do. We didn't
Right.
have to. We could
Yeah.
have said, hey, that started um, prior purchases not included. We rolled that out on the 4th or whenever it was.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that. We
Yeah.
believe in our community and in our customers that they're our number one advocate and promoter. And I wasn't going to have somebody who spent $20,000 with us for $540. I wasn't going to let that, go in a negative way.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I wrote my book Growing on Purpose, and half of the book is about improving the customer's experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you think about that, I mean, I'm shocked at some of the people that try that kind of stuff. I mean, I love buying cars because it's fun to smell all the new cars, drive new stuff. But I tell you what, this whole deal of, it ends tonight at 9 o'clock. So I'm
Oh,
like, okay, so just tell
so
me. So I'm
tempting.
going to come in tomorrow at 8 a.m. and then I'm going to buy the car and it's not going to be available for that price. Nope. That's, I'm just like, wow, you know. What happened? What goes? Are you adding something on to the
Yeah,
car overnight that I'm not knowing about? So
yeah,
yeah, but it's easy to think that you don't want to get taken advantage of, therefore you have to have these strict rules. And I
right.
think in society, there's maybe 1 or 2% of the population that are there to take advantage of you. But like this guy, your client, guy spends a bunch of money with you, frequent purchaser.
Mhm.
How do you not treat that type of individual the best? Because he's going to go tell how many people do you think,
It's already happened.
Jeff, he's told since that, oh my gosh, you guys, you wouldn't believe what just happened to me, right?
Yep.
So,
2 referrals since early February from him.
there you
1
go.
before he even had his chair installed in his home.
Yep, which more than
Okay.
paid for the $540, right?
Well, 100%. I mean,
Yeah,
it may not feel like it in the moment, but doing the right thing is always the right thing to do.
yeah,
And think of how you would want to be treated. I would be upset,
right.
like I like to hunt. If I saw that my outfitter had a new bow and you got free arrows or a free draw, or I'm sorry, a free release,
Yep,
I would be upset. Like, I don't ever negotiate. I buy how I sell
yep,
and just give me the deal. But
yeah,
if I see an email the next day and then
yeah,
and things happen and okay, maybe the front
right.
line didn't know what the back line's doing, fine.
Yep,
But if I
yep.
ask the question and you hold tight to the policy, that frustrates me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's
Yep.
where again it turns you into a fringe buyer, and all of a sudden another outfitter calls you or reaches out
Mhm.
to you. And now it's like, you know what? I am unhappy with this experience enough to be able to give that guy a shot. And it was
Yeah.
all because of a small deal. And again, things slip through the cracks, totally get it. That's why they have, this thing called the telephone where you pick it up and ask somebody, we just had a
I'm
horrible flight
lost.
experience. And the people, I don't want to mention names, that unfortunately um company that is in the southwest part of the country, didn't do a very good job because oh, sorry, you missed your flight, so we can't credit you any money. And the only reason we missed the flight is because they canceled it, and then reenacted it, and it was just a mess. And it's so crazy that there's
Yeah.
no empathy. There's no, oh my gosh, sir, I'm so sorry. Let's get this fixed for you. There just isn't that. And I don't know. Is that in your retail world, in the people that you hang with, is that normal, or are there still a lot of good business owners that are looking out for the customer?
I think there's a mix, you know, the good ones have policy and they have procedure because that's a smart thing to do. That's how you grow a business. If you don't have guideposts, if you don't have a direction,
Yeah,
your people don't know the answer because no employee is ever going to be you as the leader and the business owner, right? So we have to have something written down somewhere to guide.
right,
But you also at the same time empower people to greet a problem with empathy and understanding. And, like our comfort guarantee as an example, there's some rules that we have that we won't break because it involves cleanliness, it involves care for our team, it
yeah,
involves our ability to offer it. But at the same time, we have a 120 night wake up happy guarantee. And if, customers sometimes get so hung up on that time frame, we say, look, we're the owners.
yeah,
This isn't some policy above our head, it's our policy. Has
yeah,
it been getting better? Has the pain been reducing week over week and month over month? Yes. Are you willing to try it another month? Yeah. Because this might be the one. It just might take you a little longer to get used to it.
sure,
Oh,
yeah,
so I don't have to do it by 4 months. No.
yeah.
If you need another month, take another month. It's not the end of the world.
Oh my gosh.
And
Could
just
you
and
imagine if
just
the whole world was that way, Jeff? We would be
yeah,
in such a different spot, man. There's so many warranties that are going out of date as we speak, and people are just like, whew, I just snuck under that one.
yeah, yeah,
And it's the
yeah,
next day and something's wrong with your car, and they're like, hey, it's over 10,000 miles or whatever. It's like,
yeah.
10,009 miles. And sorry, sir, can't help you. It's just,
Well,
I don't know.
on that note, I mean, I'm a lifelong Ford guy. And but I can tell you this much. I will never buy a brand new Ford vehicle again. I will buy a Ford truck pre-owned, but I will never directly give new truck dollars to Ford Motor Company ever again.
Yeah.
That's because of how you
Must have had
get
a bad
treated, how you get
experience, huh?
treated. I did 100%. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%, and
So for the whatever dollars it was that you didn't get or whatever service, whatever happened, you've told how many people and how many podcasts and how many places, that's exponentially going around the world as we speak. And unfortunately, these large companies, they apparently don't seem to care, or they're so disconnected with that end, the end user, and that they don't know what to do with it. So
yeah.
I don't, I'm glad I'm not in that. You
Yeah.
know, I
Well,
like to be in the spot where I could just decide my company, my decision. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll just share the reason why. I'll
yeah,
first share with it my purpose as a leader. So, as a leader, I'm to live as an example of courage, shine light on good, and put further amplification behind that light, make it brighter, and shine light on darkness, even when it's difficult. Maybe takes time away from what I ought to be doing. If I have to take the arrows, I'll do it.
yeah,
And so the Ford thing was around their 10-speed transmission. And as I'm negotiating my case, and it's long settled and I can talk about it now, but we ended up in arbitration over it. And as we're negotiating the case, 2 weeks after we settle, what comes out? A sweeping technical service bulletin that runs right up to the edge of recalling hundreds of thousands of 10-speed transmissions. And the only reason it's not a total recall is because they just can't. The deluge of transmissions, they're just not out there. Okay.
yeah,
And so here's the thing, and here's the lesson. We said it earlier, doing the right thing is always the right thing,
yeah.
because now the attorney, who is a large lemon law, Moss Magnuson attorney in the nation, he has court precedents of negotiation, bad faith negotiation as a result of my case.
Mm,
And so people just said, let it go, Jeff, just sell the truck, trade it in. What's to worry about? You're not upside down on it, nothing like that, right? Just trade
sure.
it in. You got equity. It's a good time. Truck prices are high. No, no,
Yeah,
no. Listen, this is wrong. They know it's wrong, and I'm not going to let it go.
yeah,
And now, because of that, there is, for other people, there is this case basis now in which they won't be able to get away from it again. And when you're so connected to your purpose, things like that happen. And I don't rejoice in that. I don't get any money from it. But for other people that might, be damaged or harmed, I think it's a
yeah,
good thing I was a part of it.
yeah. Well, I love what you said, lead with integrity. And those can be very, cliche words.
Mhm.
You get to fill in the blank on what integrity means. I love the fact that you're saying lead like, hey, do it when no one's watching. That to me is just the powerful piece, because that assumes you're going to do it when they're watching, which again is the easier way to do it. When the cameras are rolling, boy, I tell you what, right? It's easy to do it
Mhm.
the way you're supposed to do it. Camera stops rolling, and that's where real life generally happens. So thank
Yep.
you so much for sharing that. As we land today, I just want to know, what would your tip of the day be for somebody? Maybe it's something we've already talked about. Maybe it's something burning in your heart that you want to share. But what would your tip of the day be for somebody listening today?
Yeah. The practice that's gotten me further faster is taking a few minutes for yourself and asking bigger and better questions. And this could be about anything. Why did I dig in so hard with my spouse on that issue? You know, why why is it that this person in my company, employee, partner, manager, why don't they get it? What is it about my leadership that has them not understanding? You know, Is getting to a point in life where we're going to travel full time and sell our home? Is that the plan? Right? Asking those bigger and better questions, and then saying, I'm open to answers. And this isn't so much a faith thing as it is just, what's your purpose?
Yeah.
You'll get those answers and then be ready for them. And it may not be an answer you like. The thing about your employee not getting it, that's 100% on leadership.
Yep.
Because employees
Amen.
largely wake up to come and do a good job.
Yep.
Like you said, there's 1 to 2% of the population that want to take advantage in almost every situation and facet of life. That means 98% of your people showing up want to please and do good. So if they're
Yep.
not getting it, focus on the 98, not the two. And that means you
Right.
have to say, what is it about my leadership that's leaving them less than inspired, less than enabled, less than knowledgeable? What do I have to do as a leader to transfer?
Wow.
Bigger and better questions. That's my tip.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's super easy as leaders to shift that blame, shift it
Mm-hmm.
to the government, blame the economy, blame the competitor, blame the customer, blame the team, like you just said. So I think it really takes a big leader to be able to look inward and see, what do I got to do first? Because
Yep.
again, super easy to say, hey, I'm in charge here. You guys all better dance the way I'm dancing. And, just start looking at it that way. So thank you so much for sharing that. One last thing, and then I'm gonna let you go. So we have a website called thejeffg.com
Mm-hmm.
/book. So fill us in on what's on that website for our listeners today.
Yeah, so that's my landing site for my book, The Space for Leadership. I'd love for you to go there, get the book. There's a video on there. There's a couple videos and pages on my site, but that has my book, the link to get it on Amazon. If you want an autograph copy, you can get that, and I'll send it to you personally. But there's some bonuses there. And one of which is you get to book a call with me and we'll talk for a half hour about your leadership and maybe where some of those blind spots are. It's not a sales call. I really don't even do that kind of coaching per se. I more look for teams of people in businesses that want to grow exponentially. So this is about my give. As I said, my purpose on life is to live as an example of courage, amplify the goodness, shine light on it, and then put some light on darkness. And if I can help you with any of that, that's what the bonus call is about. And as I said, it's not to sell you something, it's really to help you level up in your leadership. So I'd love for you to get the book and come back to the page, give me your Amazon order number, and we'll get you scheduled.
That's awesome. And if you're, depending on when you're listening to this, you might already be talking to Jeff in his trailer or his RV, depending on when this is going to
Yes.
happen. So when's the anticipated start date for you on your RV trip or RV change?
So yeah, so it would be fall of 26. So it's coming
Okay.
around the corner,
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
just all gonna, where it's a big journey we're on as a family.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people say, "Why are you so intense?" I said, "I'm making a near $400,000-500,000 sale. Getting your athlete to get a D1 scholarship offer. It is that
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah.
It's that value for the college to offer." And so many people have said, "Oh, I never thought about it that way."
Yeah.
And that realization came from me saying to myself about a year ago, what is the dollar amount on this effort? That was a question.
Sure.
So yeah, fall of 26,
Wow.
this life by design. I mean, I 100% plan to have people I know, people I'm connected to, join me wherever we end up parking for the week.
Sure.
And maybe Wednesday, Thursday, we'll hang out by the campfire. And then Saturday, I'm at the stadium with my wife watching the game.
There you go. That's awesome. Well, we reside in Wisconsin and San Diego. So if you're at either one of those, please look us up. We'd love to
Yep.
share a meal with you. So again, for people listening, if you want to connect with Jeff, go to thejeffg.com. If you want to copy the book, just go /book, and then you'll be able to get that from Jeff. So Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your vulnerability today, and looking forward to keep learning from you. And man, I can't wait to meet your grandfather. That's going to be a cool discussion to really get that behind the scenes look as to some of those quality and integrity issues. And thank you for standing for integrity, and thank you for standing for action. And can't wait to keep learning from you.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you having me on the show.